Good morning, everyone here in the U.S. This is Laura, TheRealLauraB from Twitter and YouTube here. We have an explosive news story that Amber Heard has withdrawn her appeal and will be paying Johnny Depp $1 million. Hang in there.
Hi, I'm Laura, also known as TheRealLauraB from Twitter and now here on YouTube. I'm a researcher, new wave internet media, and commentator. I'm not a lawyer nor offering any legal advice. Join me on a journey to review the world of celebrity lawsuits and current events. Let's get started.
Well, the news is still coming in, but I think I have enough to present this case. And again, Amber is spitting the truth. Of course she is. But let's start off with what appears to be the Daily Mail, the first to break it. Amber Heard agrees to pay Johnny Depp $1 million. Actress says, "I never chose this," and tells fans, "My life as I knew it was destroyed." Well, when you lie about someone, that's what happens. By social media vilification, you lied. As her insurers pay ex-husband's settlement in defamation lawsuit. Now, this is a settlement for the defamation she was found guilty of. She was to pay $10 million plus punitive damages. They've agreed now to accept $1 million. So this is not that the defamation lawsuit goes away. The judgment stands. Johnny Depp and Amber have finally settled their defamation claims. Again, this is the damages part. Heard insurance company will pay Depp $1 million to put an end to the case. This is not unusual. The insurance company doesn't want to keep paying for the appeal. There's already been a lot of insurance lawsuits between New York Marine and Travelers as to who's going to pay for this cost. Based on the documents we saw, the insurance company's been paying a bulk of her legal fees. And New York Marine and her were arguing it. But Travelers was supposed to be paying for the appeal. It seems that they've decided to cut their losses and said, no, which insurance companies are allowed to do, and said, look, here's the $1 million, try and make a settlement. There are no restrictions about what Heard can talk about in regard to the case. I find that questionable. Johnny Depp and ex-wife Amber Heard have finally settled their defamation claims against each other, putting an end to the most bitter Hollywood divorce in modern times. The pair's lawyers have thrashed out a deal which will see Heard's insurance company pay Depp $1 million. But in an important victory for the actress, there are no restrictions about what she can talk about in regard to the case that she has accepted no guilt. Mail Online can reveal. Well, they're revealing it from Amber Heard's statement, not from the actual settlement agreement, which would be confidential. The pair has been locked in a bitter legal battle on both sides of the Atlantic over the last 6 years after Heard alleged she was a victim of domestic violence during their 15-month marriage. A courtroom in London found in her favor, but a second case in Fairfax, Virginia, this year came out on Depp's side. Now, remember, she was not a party to that London case. She was not required or compelled to provide any evidence, even though Johnny tried to do that in the UK. He tried to do it to get it in the full tapes, to try and get some other evidence in that was marked confidential in the Virginia. And the UK judge over and over and said, no, I'm not going to compel a third party to provide any evidence. Whatever she wants to turn in is fine by me. The actress was ordered to pay $10 million in compensatory damages because a jury, remember, it had to be unanimous in Virginia, a 7-panel jury unanimously found that she had lied. And in order for him to win as a celebrity, it had to be with malice. She knowingly lied. So they agreed unanimously that she lied about the abuse claims and was ordered to pay $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages, which again was reduced. But the intention of the punitive damages is to say, hey, this isn't just a slap on the wrist. What you did was so egregious, we're going to punish you as hard as we can to keep you from ever doing this or anyone else doing this again. Sadly, it was reduced to $365,000. Actually, I think it was $350,000. I don't remember. No, that may be right. Depp was told to give her $2 million by the same courtroom on Heard's countersuit for defamation. That was the one Waldman statement. The pair's legal teams have been locked in discussions to avoid the pain of a bruising third trial after Heard filed an appeal. A deal was finally made over the weekend with both sides agreeing to put out a statement today. Amber is now looking forward to moving on with her life as she planned to do 6 years ago. She jumped the gun, got her statement out as fast as she could. She wants to put this unfortunate episode behind her and turn to what she loves in life, her career, her family, and her causes. In the bombshell statement posted on Instagram by Heard, she said, "My life as I knew it was destroyed." Well, that's what happens when you lie. That's what happens when you lie. She added she had lost all faith in getting justice in the American legal system, comparing it to her treatment in the UK courts and claiming that her former husband had won in the Virginia courtroom because a vote for popularity and power over reason and due process. Amber, you can't hide the trial that we all saw, the entire world saw, that will be memorialized forever. You got on that stand, you lied after lie, nobody believed you, and then the randos came out with more evidence and testimony, like Kate Moss, like TMZ, like the Morgans, not to mention all the witnesses beforehand, not to mention that yours didn't come. Having already sold her LA home to fund legal action, rolls eyes, she didn't want to risk losing even more. The settlement means her home insurance company will take on the payment to Depp. Well, she says her home insurance company, that would be Travelers, not New York Marine. So that's interesting. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's interesting because New York Marine had the $1 million policy. Travelers only had a $500,000 policy for payouts. I make this decision having lost faith in the American legal system. Here's the full statement here, which I will be going to, so there's no point in rereading it here. Let's see what else Daily Mail has to say. I'm going to read the actual statement. I just want to see if Daily Mail has any more commentary. Depp is expected to put out his own statement imminently, which I have. While former Pirates of the Caribbean star Depp has attempted to restart his career, it is clear that ongoing litigation has had a huge effect on it, including the actor being fired from Fantastic Beasts franchise after the London court case. Earlier this month, when his name was on a long list of music which could be Brit Award winners, there were reports that female musicians would boycott the event even if he was shortlisted. And this is sadly what's happening, that she has somehow gained momentum post-trial. Heard, meanwhile, has become so worried about her safety that she felt forced to leave America with her daughter, Una, and is now living in an unknown country. Her career has taken a huge knock, thanks in part to the vicious social media assault on her, although earlier this year she filmed independent movie The Fire and remains a part of Aquaman 2 film, which is out next year. Her career took no hit. She lied. It was proven she lied. And I don't think her career took any hit at all. Last month, an influential open letter campaign involved more than 200 domestic abuse campaigners and organizations hit out at the ongoing attacks on Heard, saying much of the harassment was fueled by disinformation, misogyny, biphobia, and a monetized social media environment where a woman's allegations of domestic violence and social assault were mocked for entertainment. Excuse me, but we weren't putting out misinformation. We weren't being misogynistic just because we believe a woman lied. Biphobia, well, she harmed her female partner too, so I guess she's a equal opportunity abuser. Monetized social media environment, people came to look or they didn't. That was their choice. Where women's false allegations, I should say, because the Virginia court ruled that they were false allegations of domestic violence and false sexual assault, were mocked for entertainment. No. The actress has pledged to continue to be a voice speaking up for women's rights. The vicious court battle between Heard and Depp stunned the world, drawing back the curtains on the shocking drug-taking, alcoholism, and violence in one of the most famous, seemingly glamorous Hollywood unions. Yes, the jury found that she was violent. The jury found she was violent. Depp, there's only one person that went to the hospital. There's only one person who needed medical treatment, and that was Mr. Depp. Ms. Heard sought no medical treatment that she presented at trial. Depp, once one of the world's highest paid actors, admitted to problems with both drugs and alcohol during the proceedings, while Heard revealed how their love story had turned to sour. In one of the most talked about allegations of the court case, he was accused of she was accused of defecating on his side of the bed, which led to her being named Amber Heard. The pair met in 2009 when Heard auditioned. I'm not going to get into the history. It's disgusting. In August 2016, the pair reached a $7 million financial settlement, and Heard withdrew her request for domestic violence restraining order, which she promised to donate and never did. Never did. And that was very much against her credibility, that she would use public statements in her favor to say she did things that didn't happen, or say other things happened that didn't happen. Last year, Heard wrote an opinion piece for the Washington Post saying she had been abused, but never named Depp as an abuser. The actress decided to sue in both cases, the London libel case against The Sun, but Heard joined the team when the case was heard over 3 weeks in July 2020 in the High Court. The judge, who sat without jury, ruled that Heard's evidence was substantially true, that basically The Sun, relying on Amber Heard, did not defame Johnny because they believed Amber Heard. Depp's attempt to appeal the case was turned down. Yes, he was not given permission to appeal. He did not appeal the UK case. In America, they have the right to appeal. Filmed and watched by a huge global audience who commented on every sigh and every facial expression, the case was viciously debated on social media for 6 weeks, and by the end, both of their reputations had been shattered among the counter allegations of lies, abhorrent behavior, and violence. Yeah. The case ground to a point where both parties must have realized that the only winners were the lawyers. The entertainment was for the onlookers, and the losers were Miss Heard and Mr. Depp, both of whom leave the case financially much worse off. True. Now they have the support of those who have always supported them, the hatred of those who have already hated them, while the baffling are scratching their heads at a legal settlement that can mean anything you want it to be. I can't disagree with that. Let's go to Amber's statement first. After a great deal of deliberation, I have made a very difficult decision to settle the defamation case brought against me by my ex-husband in Virginia. Let's make sure we understand what she's settling to. The verdict stands. She defamed Johnny Depp. She's supposed to pay 10 point extra money. They have settled that she will pay him $1 million, period. That's what they're agreeing to. It's important for me to say that I never chose this. I defended my truth, and in doing so, my life as I knew it was destroyed. The vilification I faced on social media is an amplified version of the ways in which women are re-victimized when they come forward. No, women should always come forward and tell the truth. They should get protection and tell the truth. Women should not come forward and lie, hoping to get a better financial settlement, or lie, hoping to get custody agreement of the children, or lie for fame. Now I have an opportunity to emancipate myself from something I attempted to leave over 6 years ago, and on terms I can agree to. She never attempted to leave 6 years ago. She went on to continuously accuse Mr. Depp of abuse in interviews, in speaking. Even if she didn't mention her name, she continued to say over and over she was a victim. I have made no admission. This is not an act of concession. There are no restrictions or gags with respect to my voice moving forward. I don't believe that. I make this decision having lost faith in the American legal system, where my unprotected testimony served as entertainment and social media fodder. That's the way it is in America. Unless you're a child, you're not protected. If you're going to accuse somebody of a crime, you have to do it in court. You don't get to hide. Either way, the jury heard it. There was nothing going on in that courtroom. The jury heard your testimony with or without cameras, and they found you lied. When I stood before a judge in the UK, I was vindicated by a robust, impartial, and fair system, where I was protected from having to give the worst moments of my testimony from the world's media, and where the court found that I was subjected to domestic violence in the US. Judge Mascarati made it very clear that Mr. Depp did not get a fair and full trial in the UK because she was not compelled to file evidence. She was only a witness. Mascarati made it very clear that we are to protect our jury system here in the US. Johnny Depp was not given a fair and full trial, in her reasoning opinion. In the US, however, I exhausted almost all of my resources in advance of and during a trial in which I was subjected to a courtroom in which abundant direct evidence that corroborated my testimony was excluded, and in which popularity and power mattered more than reason and due process. I was there for much of the voir dire. None of those witnesses, none of the jury members said they cared anything about Amber Heard or Johnny Depp. They didn't necessarily watch his movies. We heard that. As far as her exhausting her resources, yeah, she has no friends left. They all left her. She burns bridges. That's what was just in a video not long ago CourtTV did with Camille Vasquez, Ben Chu, and the rest of the team, saying she burns bridges. None of her friends wanted to give present, current testimony. They relied on statements they were bound to in the past. Much of her corroboration of her testimony was excluded. Hearsay is always excluded. You said you had horrific injuries. Where's the medical evidence? Where is it? Go see a doctor. Go get an x-ray. But no, the only thing you had was self-reporting to a therapist who cannot diagnose or investigate whether or not these things happened. That's hearsay. Johnny also wanted to bring in statements he made to his doctor, who was cleaning his finger after the injury, saying, Amber Heard did this to me. Amber did this. That was also not allowed in, considered hearsay, even though it was said in a medical emergency outburst situation, which is usually allowed. In the due process, in the interim, I was exposed to a type of humiliation that I simply cannot relive. That's what happens when you get caught in lies. We saw her. I mean, you have to watch. CourtTV just put out 2 last videos of her testimony. just watching her again, just lie after lie and wiping her eyebrows from tears that never presented themselves, obviously. In the interim, I was exposed to a type of humiliation that I simply cannot relive. Even if my U.S. appeal is successful, the best outcome would be a retrial where a new jury would have to consider the evidence again. I simply cannot go through that for a third time because you'll lose. Your testimony stands. They're not going to be taking that away. Time is precious, and I want to spend my time productively and purposely. For too many years, I've been caged in an arduous and expensive legal process, which has shown itself unable to protect me and my right to free speech. I cannot afford to risk an impossible bill, one that is not just financial, but also psychological, physical, and emotional. Women shouldn't have to face abuse or bankruptcy for speaking her truth, not the truth, the one she made up that she monetized with all her speaking engagements. But unfortunately, it is not uncommon. So from the records I've seen, Travelers Insurance, who was suing New York Marine, came out that they've been spending tens of millions of dollars on her legal defense. I will not be threatened, disheartened, or dissuaded by what happened from speaking the truth. No one can, and no one will take that away from me. My voice forever remains the most valuable asset I have. I'd like to thank my outstanding appellate and original trial teams for the relentless hard work. I want to thank everyone who has supported me, and I turn my attention to the growing support that I have felt since seen publicly in the months since trial. Yes, that is true. That is so sadly true that the post-trial, there's been an enormous push to support Believe All Women, to support speaking out against abuse, which I agree, tell the truth, but she did not. She's capitalizing on this. That's why she got the open letter. That's why she got all the amici briefs. And sadly, she has a lot of female support to keep her going. I have seen publicly the months since trial and the efforts that have been made to show solidarity with my story, her story, not her truth. Any survivor knows that the ability to tell their story often feels like the only relief, and I cannot find enough words to tell you the hope your belief in me inspires, not just for me, but for all of you. Thank you. See you soon. Women should come forward if they've been abused. They should seek protection. You cannot be sued for defamation in anything you claim in legal papers, in police statements. That's not defamation. That's protected speech. If you are being harmed, seek help. Please do not listen to Amber Heard. She should not be stopping you from getting help. This is a lie. And there's one thing that is never mentioned in here, how she wants to go on with her voice and do all this work. She never mentions wanting to be a mother, which is what she prayed on in the beginning. She never mentioned about wanting to be a good mother. Let's jump to Johnny's statement. I'm going to check, and let me just bear with me to see if, I don't think Johnny's posted anything yet, personally. And I don't know that he will. I doubt that he will. TMZ just reported, and we have an update from 8 o'clock this morning. A source close to Johnny Depp tells us he'll be making a pledge followed by a contribution to several charities using the $1 million. Notice he says followed by the contribution. It's going to happen as soon as Amber Heard's money is turned over to him. Contrary to what Amber Heard says, our source tells us the judgment can still be used against her in the future if she repeats the defamatory allegations. That's worth repeating because she's twisted it. The judgment can still be used against her in the future if she repeats the defamatory allegations. Depp's attorneys, Camille Vasquez and Ben Chu, tell us, we are pleased to formally close the door on this painful chapter for Mr. Depp, who made clear throughout the process his intent to bring truth to light. They continue, this was never about money. The jury's unanimous decision and the judgment in his favor against Ms. Heard remain fully in place, and the payment of $1 million reinforces her acknowledgement of the legal system's rigorous pursuit of justice. Amber Heard is closing the book in the defamation case, so this is above the red line is the newest update. This is their original story, which I think is just a rehash of her statements. Yeah, the only thing that's important in this article is that they've got Johnny's statements, and it's done, and it's over. And I know people are saying, well, has he been vindicated? Yeah, he was vindicated. Her testimony will never go away. It's there for everybody to see. It's going to be on the YouTubes. We know that she lied. That won't stop. And that's what you have to take heart in. Johnny Depp brought his truth, and the jury unanimously found she had lied. He didn't hold anything back. I strongly encourage you to look at the Court TV recent interviews they did, part 1 and part 2. I'll be posting it on Twitter. I'll be posting the links below, because they pretty much spell it out that her friends had all left her. She was not credible. She lied about so many things like donating. She just refused to tell the truth about even that. So the jury just didn't find her credible at all. So hang in there. Keep supporting Johnny Depp. He needs us. I'm looking forward to his future projects. I had started doing a series of the courtroom battles on the way to Fairfax, the pretrial battlefield. I have a video coming out about Disney. I have a video coming about Twitter, about all of us, and one about LAPD. And I'm going to let those stay on schedule and come out just to remind you all of the tactics she pulled in this case. Johnny Depp's been vindicated. He did not harm this woman in any way. And that's what we take to heart. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It's been a tough ride. Take care.